Hi everybody, so welcome to Spanish 1020, or maybe I should say bienvenidos. A lot of you guys have had me before. Some of you guys are just wrapping up Spanish 1010 and hopping right into Spanish 1020 with me, which is awesome. And then I see some other names on our roster that I've never seen before, so some new people as well. So if you took Spanish 1010 with me, you'll find that the course is arranged in a similar format, pretty much the same types of assignments and all the same rules apply, but I will go through everything here, so if you need a refresher or if you are new to the course, you have all this information available to you. So I'm Matt Harrison, and my email address is here. It's harrisonmt1@etsu.edu. Please don't forget the 1. There's another Matthew Harrison who works at ETSU, and he gets a little flustered when he gets my emails in Spanish sometimes. So make sure you include that 1 for me. This is a 100% online class, so there are no actual in-person meetings. You never have to come to campus. We will never see each other's faces per se. However, I do give you my Skype because I know sometimes in an online course it can sometimes be a little impersonal in a lot of ways, and you never really get to know your professors. So I do make some weekly YouTube video lectures for you, just like this one. This one happens to be an introduction, but you'll have a weekly lecture for each chapter where I go through some examples and teach you how to conjugate the verbs correctly and talk about what you have to do that week. And for the most part, that's usually pretty helpful for students, and it tries to simulate that same in-person experience. But that being said, if you do have any questions about anything, try first emailing me. I'm pretty on top of my email. I always try to respond within 24 to 48 hours, usually closer to the 24 side. I pretty much live on my phone. That being said, I also do have a Skype here, mharry18. So if you need to Skype with me, if you have any specific questions, we can always Skype or FaceTime anytime. So Spanish 1020 is a continuation course. It's essentially beginning level Spanish 2. So if you're pursuing a Bachelor of Arts degree here at ETSU, you have to go through Spanish 2020, which is the equivalent of high school Spanish 4. So this could be considered Spanish 2 if you think about it that way. So we're going to learn how to talk about a lot of different items in Spanish, everything from pastimes to sports to food, holidays, current events, all kind of fun stuff. I do want to take a moment to emphasize that this class is usually really hard for people who wait until Sunday night when everything is due to try to start the assignments. If you wait until the last minute and try to cram all the assignments into that one day, it's just not humanly possible to get it all done in one day. This is a case where we have a 16-week semester that has been condensed down into about 4.5 weeks. So you're going to see the pace of the course go about 4 times as fast as what a normal course might during the fall or the spring semester. So it's really important that you are keeping up with the assignments. I recommend studying each day and working a little bit with assignments each day rather than trying to cram everything in all together. So I'm going to take a moment here, and please ignore my screen here with 10,000 things on it. But I'm going to take a moment and show you the little calendar that I made for you to kind of try to make this class a little bit more manageable. If you look here at the syllabus at the very, very bottom of the syllabus page, it has a list of assignments and what we do every week. Everything is due on Sunday night, generally speaking, other than a few of the compositions and the oral interview and final. Everything else is pretty much due. All the assignments and weekly quizzes and exams are always due on Sunday. But since we're only together for 4.5 weeks, I've kind of structured the course so you can follow the visual calendar. And if you do this, you have only one thing to focus on per day. So for our first day of class, you're going to enroll in iLearn, get all that worked out, and introduce yourself on D2L. And then you're going to, on Tuesday, start reading Chapter 6, watch the video lectures as you're reading Chapter 6. Go ahead and do your Chapter 6 assignments, get those done together. Then work on your ESAM activities, take your quiz and your exam. And then if you get finished with all that and you want to start working ahead to Chapter 7, awesome. The course is set up so you can work as far ahead as you want. You can go ahead and knock out this whole class in 2 weeks if you want to. But I don't encourage that. I encourage you to work on it a little bit at a time. That will help you retain your Spanish and make sure that you are prepared to go on to Spanish 3 and Spanish 4. So all this information is here for you. I encourage you to follow this visual calendar. Like I said, everything's not due until Sunday. So for example, for this first week, you could wait until Saturday or Sunday to do your reading, the YouTube videos, the textbook assignments, the ESAM assignments, the quizzes, and the test. But you would spend, you just couldn't get it all done in one day. It's just not possible. So try to space it out. Gives you an hour or two a day to work. It makes it a lot more manageable. So please, please, please do that. So we talked about that a little bit. Speaking of all this Spanish 1, 2, 3, and 4, if you feel that you are in the wrong course, if you feel after looking over the syllabus and the topics that we're going to cover that, hey, I already learned this, I already know how to do this, you can take a proficiency test in the shared library, and it will allow you to test out of Spanish 2 and go on to Spanish 3. So we don't want you to be bored by any means, okay? If you were with me for Spanish 1, you're already familiar with the book. You probably already have access to iLearn. And there's a new course code for our class that I'll be sharing with you in just a moment. But if you were not with me for Spanish 1 or you don't already have access to iLearn, there are instructions here as to how you can go ahead and purchase that. You need the textbook and the printed access card, which actually is what gives you access each week to all of our textbook and ESAM assignments. If you're going on through Spanish 4, you can get an unlimited version. Not 100% on the cost. I want to say it's like $119-ish. Don't hold me to that, okay? But somewhere in there. And it gives you access to iLearn for 24 months. So many of you guys probably already did that in Spanish 1, which is great. If for some reason finances are hard right now and you really just can't afford to do that, there is information on how to access a free 3-week trial. It's super important that whatever you do, whether you buy it or you do the 3-week trial, you get started on day 1. You will get behind, so please make sure that you go ahead and get that worked out. Either the 3-week trial or the book, I don't care, whichever one works better for you. But go ahead and get logged into iLearn, get started on your assignments. There's information on how to access 3-week trial, how to access iLearn, how to access your assignments. I left some of those types of things here in D2L under the content section of our site. You can see information on iLearn registration instructions, the student user guide. If you're looking for our book key or our course code, I should say, the book key is what you get whenever you buy access. That's what iLearn gives you, but I give you the course code, and it's here. It is MFXAXX848. So that is here, and that's listed in one of those introductory emails that I sent you and also on our main page. But there's instructions here for how to get registered and how to get logged in. If you've never used iLearn before, there's a tutorial over here with screenshots that shows you how to use it. And then, of course, here's that information about the 3-week trial. So hopefully that will get you started there. Of course, with any online class, make sure you have online access that includes video chat and audio recording capabilities. Some of the assignments will require you to record yourself speaking, maybe record your face while you're speaking to make sure you're not cheating. There's a project that gives you the opportunity to video yourself. So just be aware of that. Okay, as far as the course is set up, like you kind of already seen the syllabus, you have textbook and ESAM activities for each chapter. I enter those weekly, usually on Mondays. So for example, this coming week, you're doing Chapter 6. Next Monday, I will grade everything for Chapter 6, your textbook and ESAM activities, along with your quizzes and your exams, and I will enter all that stuff for Chapter 6 on Monday of next week. So I do grade it throughout the week to give you feedback, and that feedback can be found in iLearn. It's attached to your assignment, so once it's graded, there's a lot of things that are instructor graded and some that grade themselves automatically, but if it's instructor graded, you'll see my feedback pretty quickly in iLearn. Same thing for the quizzes and the exams. You'll get the feedback there on those. And then you have 2 compositions, 2 writing assignments during the semester. And then at the end of the class, you have both a final exam and an oral interview. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how those things work in just a moment. You can see our grading scale here from A through F. Bear in mind you do need at least a C minus to go on to Spanish 3 and 4. Okay, as we continue looking here, we've talked about our weekly textbook and ESAM activities, our weekly quizzes, and our weekly exams. Those are all found in iLearn. You do have 5 essential chapter quizzes. So, and sometimes for a chapter there may be 3 or 4 quizzes, but I average all those together and put in 1 quiz grade for chapter 6. So for example, I think for this first week there are 2 vocab and 4 grammar quizzes, so a total of 6. I'm going to average your score on all 6 of those, and that will go in D2L as your chapter 6 quiz grade. The final exam, of course, we'll worry about towards the end. The compositions that you do, there are 2 of those. Those topics are already available for you in D2L. Here under content again, you can look under compositions. You can see the topics are available and there's drop boxes for both of those. You have the opportunity to submit feedback, to receive some feedback on those. If you email those to me, I can look over them, make some comments and things, and send them back to you, and that feedback is non-graded. I ask for those at least 3 days prior to the due date. And there's specific days on the syllabus that tell you this is the last day I accept feedback, and I usually remind you via email. So just keep that in mind. The oral exam is going to work a little bit different this semester. So if you just finished Spanish 1 with me, you know that we probably had a Skype interview, and I asked you several random questions, and you responded, and then I gave you a grade based on how you did. Unfortunately, this course coincides with another class that I'm teaching, and that very last week it's going to be very difficult to actually have a face-to-face with you to do the oral exam. So I'm sure you're going to be super bummed about this, but I'm going to allow you to record those oral exam questions. There's a section here in content titled Oral Exam that tells you about this, but I've given you some instructions. There are 10 questions. I'm going to have you read the question and then answer it, making sure you tell me what number, and there's a sample here that I made for you so you can see how it goes. So you would say numero uno, number 1, read the question and give me your answer. There's 10 of those, and then you're just going to Dropbox that audio file by the deadline. Okay, so that's how that's going to work. Rather than having a Skype face-to-face oral interview, I'm just going to have you record it and submit it. So I'm sure you're devastated about that, but unfortunately, since this class does coincide with another one that I'm teaching that happens to be during the day, I just could not be available all day like I was for Spanish 1, unfortunately. So sorry about that, but kind of makes it a little easier for you, I guess. Regarding late work, guys, I know that this is an accelerated summer course, so I'm a little bit more lenient than during a fall or a spring semester. The only 2 things I really can't take late are the oral exam and the final exam, simply because those are due on the last day of class, and then I have 24 hours to grade those and get your grades in. So I can't accept those late. Everything else I will accept late for a penalty of varying between 10 and 20% per day per assignment, and you can see how those work here. So try to get your work in on time. It's usually pretty easy since you have the whole week and you can work ahead. Usually students don't have any trouble with that, but so be aware of that. As far as academic integrity goes, in an online class, and especially a Spanish class, one of the biggest things that we encounter is translation software. We find that people really want to use Google Translate or Spanish Dict to try and do translation online and then submit it. So that does result in a grade of F. The first time I usually give you a warning. The second time typically give you an F in the class. So make sure that you, if you want to look up a word or a short phrase, 1 or 2 words at a time, that's fine to use translation software. But the best thing to do, just so you don't have this problem at all, is to use some type of Spanish-English dictionary. And at the top of the syllabus here, I give you some great resources. Wordreference.com is my personal favorite resource to use for looking up words. It tells you based on the country you're in what specific word they use for that item. So that's very, very helpful in most cases. So stick to word reference, no translation software. Of course, if you have a disability and you need any kind of accommodation, do let me know. I've already kind of hit the highlights on this, but make sure that you are checking iLearn a few times a week. It's helpful if you log in daily, but I understand that's not always possible. Anytime I have something super important, I try to email it out to you. There are weekly YouTube videos you can watch to make it seem like more of an in-person course. But again, since this class, there's 16 weeks that are scrunched into only 4.5 in this case. So please make sure that if you don't understand something, you do ask. Please watch the weekly YouTube video lectures. Those are usually very, very helpful for students in terms of making sure that they are prepared and understanding the material. And then I post a lot of things over here in the resources section. So for our first chapter on chapter 6, you can see all kinds of videos here that I've shared with you that you can use to understand. There's an extra credit opportunity that's posted and some examples from previous semesters that students have done. Some reading if you need help and you're just not understanding, you can read those. And I haven't posted my chapter 6 video lecture yet, honestly, because I haven't made it yet. That's what I'm doing next after this video. But I will upload that and that'll be here at the top for you, so you'll be able to see chapter 6 video lecture and you can use that. That tells you about that. Going back to the syllabus real quick, I would recommend devoting around 40 hours a week to doing well in the class. Now that includes time to read the chapter, watch the YouTube videos, do all the textbook and ESAM assignments, read all the supplemental material, do the quizzes and the test, give you time for that composition. It's everything all built in, okay? So now that's just an estimate. You may be able to do it in more time, you may be able to do it in less time. It just depends on the person, but I would say that's a good general guide for a summer course. And those of you guys who are with me in Spanish 1 generally agree that that is the case. So, okay, here at the bottom of the syllabus, you can see our course calendar, which is color-coded. I'm a little bit of an organizational freak, so this is kind of color-coded for you. So for example, for our first week here, it tells you Chapter 6, the title is Como pasas el día? How do you pass the day or how do you spend your time? It tells you all the things we're going to be covering: daily routine, reflexive verbs, adverbs of time and frequency, sports, AR, ER, IR, regular preterite verbs, CAR, GAR, verbs, preterite Y group, and stem changing preterite verbs. So you can see there's a whole lot of content, about 1 month to be exact, shoved into a week here. So again, accelerated summer courses go fast. So please watch that YouTube video. I'll cover all this in detail for you with examples, and I usually go through some of the textbook examples and show you how to work a few problems to kind of get you started. You can see I've listed here the exact textbook activities you have to do, the exact ESAM activities, the quizzes, and the test. There's also an introductory discussion board due this first week. Again, all of this is not due until Sunday night, but I do recommend following that visual calendar to give you some pacing. If you're the kind of student who gets overwhelmed, this will space it out for you and allow you to just do one thing per day. There are also flashcards available for you to practice how to pronounce these words. You can click on the word and it'll allow you to pronounce it. Those are available in iLearn. And there's all kinds of little tutorials and practice things you can do as you're reading the book, and those are kind of built in. So all that is there for you. And then this, of course, continues for week 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And it gives you the dates for your oral exam and your final exam and all that good stuff. So that is the syllabus in a nutshell. If it's been a while since you had Spanish 1, here in D2L, I've also built in a Spanish 1 review for you with all my videos from last semester for chapters 1 through 5, so you can watch those if you need to brush up on something. And then, of course, I've included some PDFs of various topics that students sometimes have trouble with in Spanish 1. So all that's here for you. Like I said, your composition and oral interview are here. You can see your grades by going to evaluation and grades. So all that is here for you. Guys, if you have any questions, my email address you have. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And I look forward to a great short semester with you guys. Have a nice day.